counter-terrorism might have had a point. Iraqi history goes back all the way to the birth of civilization, with over 8,000 years of empires taking the territory and then collapsing. So we're going to skip to Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein was the leader of Iraq after a coup he televised having half of the Ba'athist party shot. The Ba'athists are a weird concept, being socialist in economics and nationalist in their goal of unifying their people. The only places the ideology took hold was in Syria, falling under Bashar al-Assad, and Saddam Hussein's Iraq. Saddam Hussein's first goal was to capture territorial claims in Iran, so he declared war on the new theocracy on his border, only to result in over 1 million dead and the return of trench and chemical warfare. His next goal was to recapture Iraqi land in the south, separated off by the British Empire into the Sheikhdom of Kuwait. This war was so easy, the Iraqis invaded on buses. Unfortunately for Saddam, he completely miscalculates and the United States military invades to liberate Kuwait, but not to topple Saddam Hussein, as Iraq is a major debtor of Soviet debt, and the Soviets want that paid back and will not tolerate the United States overthrowing the country. So he's left in power. But after the Soviet Union collapses and 9/11 gives the United States a taste for revenge, George Bush Jr. decides he wants to overthrow Saddam and then ... profit. Officially, the war is about destroying Iraqi weapons of mass destruction. In reality, there aren't any. And the United States knows this. They invade anyway. And then the Kurdish minority in the north revolt with US aid against Saddam Hussein, establishing their own autonomy, with the eventual dream being that of establishing their own ethno-state. Meanwhile, the Arab population are put under a new provisional government. The United States finds a random exile to lead the country and puts him in charge. They then decide that every member of the Ba'athist party that used to be ruling the country is no longer eligible for any role in the government, which means disbanding the entire military, the entire police force, and anyone who had any idea how to run Iraq, and then making them completely unemployable, which means that they're now stuck at home with no job, lots of military training, very resentful, and armed. Naturally, this ended in insurgency, with the ex-Baathists fighting the United States, and the population of Arabs split between the two sects of Islam, Sunni and Shia, into their own insurgent groups, with the Shia in the south joining the Mahdi army, and the Sunni in the north joining all sorts of different groups. One of these groups being largely filled with foreigners who want to come to Iraq and establish an Islamic state and live out their jihadist fantasies of fighting out non-Muslims. This being Al-Qaeda in Iraq, and most of the Iraqi groups hated them. The new leader decides to back the Shia, and the whole country plunges into a civil war, with the United States population not really knowing why they're still there, or were there to begin with, but now feel they can't really pull out. And so, the United States and regional powers start funding different sides to claim their slice of the pie. And after trying to put the fires out and thousands of servicemen being killed, the United States decides to withdraw in 2011, except in Kurdistan, just in time for one of those Sunni insurgent groups to make a massive breakthrough. ISIS. When Osama bin Laden was calling for global jihad against Americans in the 90s and 2000s, I don't think he ever could have envisioned just how large that would become. Shortly after his death in 2011, the Syrian civil war kicked off, and with the instability in Iraq, it opened the gates to hell, in which his men in Al-Qaeda in Iraq were able to realize their dreams. ISIS blitzed through the country, getting all the way to the outskirts of the capital in Iraq, and with recruits from all over the world coming to join them, they are extremely brutal in their killings. And al-Baghdadi, their leader, declares that they are no longer an insurgent group, but instead claims to be a caliphate, and they're going to reconquer not only all of the Muslim lands in the world to restore the greatness of the caliphate of old, but also they're going to invade the entire earth. With ISIS, you've either got to be with us or you're against us. So if you're Shia, you're dirty kuffar. If you're Sunni, but not with us, you're dirty kuffar. Anything else, dirty kuffar. Even Al-Qaeda end up declaring war on ISIS. The Iraqi army was in retreat, and so the only people in the region who could actually save the country were the Shia militias, and so they were called upon to save Iraq. The militia officially swear allegiance to Iran, so Iran starts pouring men, money, and weapons into the militia, and it is coordinated by this Soleimani guy, who I'm sure won't come up again. The Americans, on their side, support the Iraqi army with airstrikes and special forces, and on the Syrian side of the conflict, the Russians do the same for the Syrians. Quickly, it turns out that ISIS are not able to take on the entire earth all at once, and so start crumbling. Al-Baghdadi would be hunted down and decided to kill himself and his 3 children by using a suicide vest, whilst hiding in Syria.
Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead. He died after running into a dead-end tunnel, whimpering and crying and screaming all the way. Baghdadi and the losers who worked for him, and losers they are, they had no idea what they were getting into.
By the end of it, 100,000 people are dead, 80,000 jihadists have been exterminated, and the country is de facto run by a militia that swears its allegiance to Iran, with the militia and the Iraqi army considered heroes for having saved the country from ISIS. And so the United States, to try and weaken Iranian influence, drone strikes Soleimani whilst he's travelling through Iraq. So with that being the state of things, I decided to get a visa and go and see what all the fuss is about. Getting to Iraq does require some will, so after 1, 2, 3 flights, we landed in darkness, flying through a storm of sand. Arriving in the early hours of the morning, there was not much to do, but thankfully a friend of a friend picked me up from the airport and we drove through Basra at night. As the sun rose, we went to see the British Army Cemetery and the Commonwealth Cemetery in central Basra. On Google Maps, I could see there were photos of imperial ruins, so I decided to go and see what was there today.
Every other country that wouldn't do that.
Dogs a problem?
Dogs are wicked.
We need to go back. Because I think the problem is they've also got rabies, right?
Yeah. We get bitten.
We'll try the other one. That's for War Cemetery. But is there anything on this, or is it just...
You can literally take this.
Is there anything written on it? Or is this just... I assume this used to be the
Well, it's supposed to be
the outline of the grave.
Yeah, and it's supposed to have the plaques, if I'm not mistaken, right? But like they're all just, stolen away probably.
Oh, there's some graffiti. Fatima loves Hussein.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I wonder, so in England the graffiti is usually quite rude. It's like,
Yeah. Here,
Debbie takes it up the arse. Do you have like Fatima takes it up the arse? Or...
No, they don't dare to write that here.
Okay. So I made it to Iraq. Haven't really slept. But one of the funny things is getting here, I had to take one flight, then another flight, then another flight. And the final flight was from Turkey to Basra. And as I'm getting in the queue to get on the plane, I noticed all the Iraqis around me had European papers, like European passports and ID cards. I'm like, okay. Get on the plane, land, there's an immigration desk, and there's like 20 guys, all guys, who have to come through the e-visa process. The locals could just go straight through. And there's one guy behind the desk processing people. So I look around and I'm like the only European there. I look at everyone else and they're all Arabs, so I presume Iraqis. I look at the passports they've got. They've all got British passports, the ones around me, but they're not British passports like mine. They don't look the same. They're travel documents. So I'm gonna have to look it up afterwards, but I'm pretty sure that's a travel document you get if you're a refugee. Presumably they're Iraqi refugees who came to the UK and have got that piece of paper. But now coming back to Iraq on holiday? Okay, whatever. And they were annoyed because why would you serve the internationals first? Why would you not serve the Iraqis first who want to come through because it's our country? So they're shouting at the guys behind the desk. The guys at the desk are shouting at them to sit down. And in the middle of all this chaos, the call to prayer started. And went on for like 2 minutes at a billion decibels. So it's just a bit crazy. But there we are, managed to make it through. So far, so good. We stopped off at a breakfast place to see what an Arab breakfast was. Every meal here beginning with lentil soup and finishing with tea, with breakfast here consisting of dips and Arabic-style omelettes. Alright, first Iraqi bathroom, and pack of cigarettes down there. Never used a squat toilet. First time for everything, I suppose. I just realised there's not even any toilet paper, there's just the hose. From here, we decided to head north to the Garden of Eden. And that's not really a joke. The Bible points to the Garden of Eden being where the Euphrates and Tigris rivers meet, and they both flow through Iraq, and they meet just north of Basra. So we turned up at the Adam tree, this is the Garden of Eden, and my friend was just saying it was closed. Well, half an hour early before it even opens. But they saw that I was a foreign tourist, so the guy was shouting, there's a tourist, let him in. And this is the tree of Adam. Don't know how true that is, but there it is.
Looks fake.
What do you mean it looks fake? It's the official tree from the Garden of Eden. Let's say here, Adam's tree. Historical studies indicate that in this blessed area, I love Arabic sometimes, it's so polite. In this blessed area where the Tigris and the Euphrates meet, has honoured by the visit of the prophet of God Abraham, peace be upon him. Wait, you still say peace be upon him for Abraham, not just Muhammad?
All the prophets.
Even Jesus?
Even Jesus. Mostly Jesus.
Huh. So 2000 BCE, who prayed and said, there will be a tree like Adam's tree in paradise.
So this is a tree similar to the Adam tree in paradise.
Right. So Abraham came here.
Yeah, 2,000 years ago.
And was like, I love this tree. I bet there's one of these in the Garden of Eden.
Yeah, Adam tree.
Right, there was a fella who wanted me to buy a postcard from the Garden of Eden, so he could have it because he's a religious fella.
Yes, we can.
There's not many postcard places around here, I don't think. Adam's ice cream. So you can go see Adam's tree in the Garden of Eden and then get an ice cream from Adam's ice cream, which is he's out to lunch. He'll be back soon.
It's just the whole feminism, Eve left, so like there's no one serving the ice cream anymore.
That's pretty bad.
Oh, it is. Yeah, nobody really cares about like the pollution here.
So they whine a lot back home about plastic pollution, and we do everything we can to make sure the plastic gets recycled.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And then I come here and I see this.
Places. Yeah, exactly.
Like, look at the water. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but you can see just how stanky that is.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it looks like it's jelly
And
almost.
this is a river, by the way, huh? It's supposed to be clean. This is the Tigris.
Please tell me this isn't where you get your tap water.
No.
So presumably once upon a time people would come here and go swimming.
Oh, all the time. Iraqis, they swim here. They don't have an issue with it.
Wait, even with this?
Yeah.
They swim in this?
They swim in this here. They just like
And they live?
maybe a bit deep inside. I suppose so, yeah.
There were, so this was a temple to Solomon. Well,
No, it's just a place he visited, a shrine of some sort.
where Prophet Solomon visited.
Yeah.
And you were saying here, this is a sign.
It's a warning not to, do any sorceries.
It's a warning to all who enter.
To, mainly women, because this is the women's entrance, and these are like, women are the ones who do all these sorts of things,
Well, I've made it to a hotel. I arrived after like 30 hours of traveling, something crazy. So, as usual, kind of a bit of a blur with making some footage, trying to stay awake until I could get into the hotel, but I'm here and I paid 50 bucks a night for this. So what does an Iraqi hotel for 50 bucks look like? You have to ignore all the rubbish. That's my bad, but you get a bed. That's pretty nice. It's got you know, an actual blanket and stuff. That's good. There's this TV that looks pretty fancy. I don't know what kind of brand that is, but it's not Samsung. Let's check the TV. Let's see if there's a good TV show. Okay, not that one. Not that one either. You do get a couple of things. You get yourself a little fridge and a freezer. Comes with water. So I don't know if this is an Iraq entire thing, but it's definitely a Basra thing. The water supply here is bad. And when I say bad, I don't mean like Mexico, where if you drink some of it, your gut biome isn't going to be used to it and you'll get the runs. I mean, a little while back, the tap water put something like 500 people in the hospital who were locals. So there was a series of protests against the governor to be like, hey, can you fix the tap water? People are dying. In which the response was to open fire on the protesters. I gotta brush my teeth, right? So I went in there, brushed my teeth, turned on the tap, spit it all out. And then I could smell it. And, well, the stagnant water outside when you're walking around smells exactly the same. So that's great. Here's the bathroom. Western style toilet. Thank Christ. Tried to go shopping and I've run into a couple of quirks already of Iraqi society. So this is some Iraqi money. I managed to get my hands on it. It's basically 15,000 dinars to the $1. And so the notes you've got here, 10,000 and 25,000 dinar notes. I couldn't really get them very, very easily. They're real hard. Because I was told that you needed to bring US dollars. So I had to exchange my British pounds back home into US dollars. Went to the post office, got my US dollars. So I got my $50 notes, went into town, and said, hello sir, here's a bunch of American money, please can I have some Iraqi money? And they basically told me to f off. Reason being, they only accept $100 notes. Why? Nobody knows. Even the guide I'm with was like, I don't know what's wrong with them. We went store to store to store to try and get this. Not a single one. I mean, we must have hit 20 exchange places. Not a single one would take it. And the reasons it just varied wildly. I mean, one of them, the guy said, it was almost superstitious. He turns around and says, well, I've already got a load of 50s. So I don't need any more. You know, because if you have two $50 notes, that doesn't equal a $100 note in their heads. Well, I've woken up. I think I'm going to go for a walk, see what's around. Okay, the free bottled water provided by the hotel. You know, it's bottled water, so you won't die from drinking it. It doesn't smell like water. It smells like cleaning liquids. Well, I might die anyway, apparently. Here's what it is. But the guy I'm driving with, he told me, yeah, I mean, you walk around Basra, no problem. Even at night, like now. But up at Mosul, I wouldn't even go there in the daytime with just one guy on my own. In fact, we're thinking about going to which is this ancient city near Basra. Not only is he bringing a friend, so there's three of us. They said they had to contact the local police just to warn them that we're bringing a foreigner. Whilst wandering around central Basra, we came across some swastika graffiti, to which I turned to my friend and asked, what are people's views on Hitler in Iraq? And he responded by saying, I think everyone in the world likes Hitler. I've discovered one more fantastic thing about Iraq, and one not so fantastic thing. Fantastic thing, incredibly civilized people. How do we know this? British plugs. The best plugs on earth. The most safe, most sensible. Brilliant. Fuck it, I love them. I mean, I'm in love with Iraq. The not so nice thing, I ran out of toilet paper. And, well, you don't get much of an option. That's the toilet paper. Now, I know any Europeans watching this will be like, what's the big deal? Jesus Christ, can you English just get with the program and start using bidets? I'm thinking in English culture, that's kind of gay. It's kind of gay. You gotta shove a spout of water near there. That's really gay. And that's the first time I've ever used one. And I can confirm, I feel like a gay man. It's a beautiful day and I can't say. It's not that beautiful day, but no. Anyway, I want to talk about something funny. So I went shopping for snacks yesterday, just before I went to bed. I found this. TikTok crisps, which I haven't tried yet. Don't think they're officially owned by TikTok, let's put it that way. I'm gonna eat those when I get hungry. But something crossed my mind, which is every time you go to a third world country, there's weird things that they have better than us. And one of them is, for me, glass bottles. I found Mountain Dew that comes in a glass bottle. And then there's some Iraqi brands here, so you've got energy drinks. Energy drinks come in a glass bottle. Because why wouldn't they? And then there's some Iraqi lemonade, which again comes in a glass bottle. It's an Iraqi product, made in Iraq. I don't know about you, I just think it tastes better out of glass. It's one of those like irrational human things where because it's in glass you just enjoy it more. So we're heading out to today, but we're getting breakfast first. And so we're going to a place which is apparently a restaurant and a museum.
And a museum at the same time, yeah. Has a couple of like old...
Which sounds like a good combination, to be honest. I wonder if they have any like I Love Saddam Hussein songs from the...
I don't think so.
the 90s.
All boxes in...
Do you know his name?
I don't think they do, yeah.
No.
I have no... they do.
It feels so good as well.
Yeah.
Sindan Nazi.
Ah, okay.
I understood the word Nazi.
Yeah.
But it's from Germany?
Yeah, that's from Germany.
Well, I love the idea that the Nazis of all people as well, when they're making an anvil, just make sure there's a swastika on it.
There has to be a
Yeah. Can't go 5 minutes without having Hitler. This place was honestly a fantastic idea. Basically, whilst you're wandering around the museum looking at all the nice stuff, they make you breakfast in the dining hall, so when your tour finishes, you arrive to your food. I'm very impressed. So this is a fancy Iraqi breakfast?
Yeah. Well, not fancy, but
Okay.
this is the traditional Iraqi breakfast.
So
You have, like,
eggs,
the
tomatoes.
tomatoes, and then the vegetables and everything.
And then the bread, which is...
The bread.
Iraqi bread is fantastic.
And you have, these are all dairy products. This is cheese.
That's cheese?
Cheese. Cheese, cheese. This is cream.
Okay.
So cream
And
with honey. Yeah. And then you have, this is also cheese, olives, you have jam, and of course, pretty sure you like this, this is also hummus.
So this is the other nice thing about people who appreciate history and therefore appreciate well-made things, is they appreciate it's not just to look at.
Yeah.
Like you should have nice things to actually eat with as well, because, well, why not?
Even like your salt shaker and your pepper shakers.
That's a salt shaker.
Yeah, it's a salt shaker.
That's brilliant. But even the box for the tissues. It's just wonderful. Every small thing brings you joy. Nothing is pointless.
Nothing is pointless.
So we're driving down the street and you can see these pictures of people all along the way. And correct me if I'm wrong, but those are the martyrs of the Shia militias.
Yeah.
And they're martyrs because they died fighting against ISIS to liberate Mosul.
Yeah.
Which was a bloody miserable battle, so
Yeah.
well earned. It just goes and goes and goes.
Yeah.
All different guys.
Endless, yeah.
Soon enough, we decided to head out of the city on a little day trip to the ancient city of Ur, which was about 6,000 years old. Never a dull moment. We couldn't get to Ur, because we're driving along the road, we see the sign, we drive up to it, and then I presume it was the Iraqi army had set up a checkpoint there,
Yeah.
so we could not drive through. So we've had to go a long way around to try and get into some town and then get in through the back, which means military checkpoints. It's dusty out there. You know, I can't decide if this is more polluted than Basra.
Yeah.
So we finally made it to the city of Ur, and here it is. The Ziggurat of Ur. I think that's the right name. So I've seen in some pictures the American army, when they came here, walked up the thing. A friend of mine wanted me to go up there and make a sacrifice to Enlil, the god of the old Sumerians. But, well, the American army could walk up there because who was going to argue with them? Whereas us, there's a fence in the way. This thing is 1,000 years older than the pyramids of Giza. I mean, you think of the pyramids as the ancient of ancient world. This thing is 1,000 years older than that, for Christ's sake. And if you're a religious person, Abraham, the man, the myth, the legend, the founder basically of all three religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, or at least the descendant source of all of them, he was a man who lived here in the city of Ur. And the Great Flood, Noah, one of the descendants, or I think he was before Abraham actually, but the Great Flood is meant to have happened down here. So the Tigris and the Euphrates flooding, and at the time that was the known world, so that was the whole world flooding. And in case you're wondering where the hell all the water is, well, this place used to be where the Tigris was, or the Euphrates, I can't remember which one. This was where the river was. This is how the population actually survived. And then the river just moved more and more that way, and all of a sudden, this place becomes a desert. Oh, we should. Someone asked me yesterday on my Discords, how white are Iraqis?
Yeah.
Do you mind if we show them? So this is me.
Yeah, some of us,
I'm pretty white.
but we get tanned, so
But that's the thing, Iraqis are apparently born white and then they just have a suntan.
yeah.
So what's kind of weird is, like I said, this place is 1,000 years older than the Great Pyramids. I mean, it doesn't really get much older than that, you'd think. You know what's strange? This place, since it's been discovered, is taken care of for that reason. Try and make sure tourists can get here. Right next door, there's a place that I think is either 1,000 or 2,000 years older than this city. And yet nobody even visits it, no one even takes care of it. Let's go have a look. So this place here is 3,000 years older, no, 2,000 years older than Ur. I gotta watch what I'm doing. So this is just waiting to be dug up. And no one's coming. Point being, I mean, growing up, I always thought the pyramids were one of these most ancient things in existence. When you hear about the ancient Egyptians being a cradle of civilization, they're right next door in Mesopotamia. You've got stuff still surviving, given under mounds of dirt, which is just ridiculously old. I mean, I think it's 5,000 something BC. This place was a city. And they've just left it. And you can see a little hole there into the center. And there's bricks and all sorts of things underneath here. If you dug it all up, you could see the old tops of the building. And it's just been left for dead. I mean, it's starting to make me think about a trend I've seen in the United States, and Canada mostly. These land acknowledgements. Like if you fly Air Canada, they start the flight by telling you that we acknowledge about the land we're flying on belongs to the first peoples and blah 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 blah. This place, I mean, if the first people are the Sumerians from 5,000 years ago, the numbers of peoples who have lived on this land since by conquest, and not a single one of them gives a crap about the idea of, well, the original peoples who lived here. It's not really what matters. It's interesting, it's worth documenting, but this is the reality. Things move on. What have you discovered, boys?
tablets. Real, ancient.
You're kidding me. Jesus Christ.
Oh.
Do we know what language that is?
Sumerian.
It'll be Sumerian. Yeah. Sumerian stones just sitting there. And not a single person has bothered to come here and take them.
No.
Some of them are broken.
Some of them are broken.
So you can see it broken off there. What? I mean, I imagine there's probably someone on the internet who could watch this footage and translate it for us.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, could be. Someone.
I mean, that's just amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
5,000-year-old writing just sitting there.
Oh god.
Was dug out by a British guy. That's why the Iraqi government have done what they've done. They've tried to turn it into a tourist site. They're building that tourist city. This is right here. No British guys come along and dug it up for them. So here it sits. The road to it is barely paved. Half of it's broken. The last bit of road to get in here, there's a sign telling you, watch out for unexploded ordnance. There's not a human for miles, except us. I mean, some of this stuff is barely even buried. Like, that's just... it's a pottery piece. That's 5,000 years worth of dust sitting on top of these things. This here, which is clearly been left by the army, is explaining that there's unexploded ordnance all over this place. What's really weird is down there are a family of Bedouins, and Bedouins are basically like tribal nomads who live in Arabia, and they don't respect borders or anything because, like, what's the point? Just lines in the sand, go away. So they come over from Kuwait and Saudi all the way up here and back down. They're down there with their flocks and flocks of camels, just walking around out in the desert where there's unexploded ordnance. It's always sunny in Arabia. After finishing up in Eridu, we drove back to Basra through several military checkpoints at about 130 miles per hour, with no seatbelts, no road rules, and on the phone. Iraq is just like that. We did actually get into a car crash, but thankfully nothing major, and we did get back to the hotel okay. Well, I was thinking about going outside and getting some dinner, now that we're back in Basra. And then, well, I looked outside. Ugh. I don't know how well the camera's picking it up, but this is a sandstorm, and it sucks. It feels like I'm living on Mars. This place is 40 degrees. There's pieces of earth trying to burrow into your eyes. And there's a pack of wild dogs over there, between the trash. So I'm not going to go that way, because I can't fight off 5 dogs. In fact, the dogs are coming this way. I'm going to go back inside. Well, thanks to the sandstorm, I'm not going out tonight. That's unbearable. So instead, I've got an evening of sweet treats to try. I kind of just really want to taste the TikTok crisps, I'll be honest, and see. I was going to say if they taste like TikTok, but I have no idea what the hell that would taste like. Not sure I want to. Anyway, let's see what it is. It smells horrible. What the? I don't even. There's like a white thing in it. What is that thing? What the? Are you kidding me? Do you want a lollipop covered in Cheeto dust? Because when you buy TikTok crisps, it just comes with it, I guess. Okay. Oh, that's not good. I don't know if you have Wotsits in the United States. Basically in England this would be what's called a Wotsit. They're not like Cheetos, because Cheetos are kind of kind of snap, if I remember correctly. This is incredibly made of air. It cuts off. But just tastes slimy. I don't know how you make a product that's mostly air taste like slime. But there we are. There's what is TikTok? Well, it's something that looks like it should taste alright and then just tastes of slime. And then occasionally there's a lollipop that enters the chat. Right. That was a waste of time. I'm not eating any more of that. That is vile. The next day, I decided it was about time I headed to the train station. Sadly, but understandably, you're not allowed to film or take pictures of the train station or on the platform, for security reasons. Which, it's kind of annoying, although I did take a few, because, well, it was a British imperial ruin back from the First World War. It was built to service the British military, so I couldn't resist it. But after that, we headed into the market to go and see what Central Basra's market had to offer. So this is Basra Market. It's loud, it's dirty, it's busy. But there's a lot of stuff. Oh, and these are the black dresses and whatnot.
Black dresses for women.
You ever worn one?
Oh.
Is it forbidden?
For the wrong reasons, I think.
No, I mean like to try it on to see what it feels like.
No, probably not.
Because I look at it and I wonder, is it really warm? Is it cold? Because the Afghan stuff's nice and cold. The men's stuff.
No, I just see ninjas.
You just see ninjas, okay. Ice or something.
Remember the day? It's the same, it's not even.
Would you like to visit a market with trash everywhere and noise and bikes and cars running through the middle of it?
Actual sewage.
Actual open sewer? Come to Basra! After we finished filming, I did find another British imperial ruin, this being the British War Memorial, which I would later find out that Saddam Hussein, personally and at great length and expense, paid to have relocated from central Basra into the middle of nowhere to keep it safe, just before the invasion. The British imperial ruin of the Commonwealth grave of Basra. To the glory of God, and to the honoured memory of those officers and men of the armies of the British Empire, who fell in the Iraq campaign in the years of 1914 to 1921, and whose graves are not known. The Loyal North Lancashire Regiment, Oxford and Bucks Light Infantry, Royal West Kent Regiment, the Wiltshire Regiment. Now Wiltshire's where I consider home. And I can't imagine being one of these guys. I mean, Wiltshire is the exact opposite of this place, in so many ways. The 35th Sikhs, 1st Indian Soldier, 7th Gurkha Rifles. Yeah. Canadians.
Western, oh yeah, Ontario Regiment. Oh yeah, you also have the Royal Dublin Fusiliers as well.
The Irish. Yeah. Scottish over there. Sunderland. Punjabis.
Oh, I think the Punjabis are
3rd Queen's Alexander's own Gurkha Rifles. So there's more Gurkhas. It's a weird thing about the British Empire, because it's so diverse. You would have thought there'd be a lot of countries who are sort of interested in preserving this. Apparently not even the British.
There are a couple of flags missing, they're laying here. I think this is what they meant when they said it's under innovation.
Camel Corps, Bullock Corps, Transport, Private Contractor, Subcontractor.
Yeah.
The Day Jap. Nigeria.
Yeah.
6 natives.
British West Indian, Ceylon. Oh, they come
Mauritius
to-
Labour Corps.
Oh, Mauritius Labour Corps.
4 native Mauritians died here. I mean, I heard this rumour, I don't know if it's true, but apparently when the British took Basra, one of the first things they did was set up a complaints office. And it was just a guy with a little sign. And the locals were just confused as to, like, why the fuck the army would take complaints.
I don't personally know if that's true, but it could be. I don't know.
I mean, if any of the guys who served, let me know. Alright, we've come back to the cemetery. It seems that the dogs who have decided this belongs to them have now left. Hopefully. I can see one over there, maybe. And then this is what's left of the British cemetery in Basra. There's some Arabic here. I'm sure someone...
Could be Eric, but maybe I can't read it.
In memory of the brave Mohammedans who sacrificed their lives in the Great War for their king and their country. Mohammedans is an Old English word for Muslim. So when the British first came to the Muslim world, they didn't actually understand what the hell Islam was. And they just kept hearing the Muslims talk about Muhammad.
Muhammad, yeah.
So they thought
Start calling them Muhammad.
they thought they worshipped Muhammad. They didn't understand that they worship Allah.
Yeah.
So they got the name Mohammedans. What does this one say?
Hindi.
This is in Hindi? Oh god, yeah. That's the Indian language.
So that must have been in Ottoman, Turkish language.
I guess so.
That first one, yeah.
Because they were Turks who died.
Yeah.
A memory of the brave Hindus and Sikhs who sacrificed their lives in the Great War for their king and their country. Their country was the British Empire. 1939 to 45. As you can see, it's written in Hindi. In honour of these soldiers who died in the service of their country and whose mortal remains were committed to fire. Right. They burnt the Indians. I think that's what you do with Indian bodies.
Well,
They don't
because-
bury them, do they?
Yeah, they don't bury them, yeah.
Oh, there we are. After we arrived back at the train station, we went through security again and then were told to follow a man into one of the back offices. We sat there, and then I looked up after he'd taken all of our papers, and noticed the logo on the wall was the Federal Intelligence and Investigations Agency. Fuck. Thankfully, he was just there to ask me what my travel plans were, who I was going to meet, and what I thought of Iraqi culture so far, which was kind of interesting. Although I did manage to get out of him that there were special orders issued to all security personnel in the country. From Baghdad to all the way in the south, the security personnel are under orders to assist and defend any foreigner in the country that is in need of assistance. No such protections exist north of Baghdad. After all that was done, it was time to board the train, but not before the passengers had to line up their luggage to be looked over by a sniffer dog, something that I was exempt from. Right, made on the train. After some nice conversations with you-know-who. Anyway, here's the view, which this camera is not very good at picking up, because that glare and dirt. Well, anyway, I paid for the best money could buy on an Iraqi train. The only Iraqi train. There are literally no others. This is the only one that exists in the country. Basra to Baghdad, that's all they've got. It used to have more. But then this, like, you know, war thing happened. Anyway, so what do you get for your money? Your best money. I think it was 35 buckaroos for the best room on a train. Well, you get a little sink, wash your hands, do a drink kit. You get British plugs with weird appliances so you can use other plugs. You get a TV, which I mean, there's no remote for. There's no buttons for either. There's that button. Oh my god, we have a TV. It's in Chinese. I suppose Chinese train, yeah. So wait, is it touchscreen? Do I press that again? No, that turns it off. Right, so it's not a show TV. There's a TV that shows you the settings options, and that's it. You get a door, and the door has a lock. That doesn't lock. To call them if you want to be suspected of terrorism. do that. Which doesn't do anything. Right, anyway, we also get a fridge, which is not cold. You do get this bed. Screaming kids next door, ignore that. There is a bunk bed. You're meant to have someone else here. I think because of my passport, they've segregated me off, which is something else. Anyway, here's your rose duvet for the evening. It's boiling. I don't know where you want that. There's no air conditioning, so I'm sweating to death. There's a button. And that actually works. Some of the time. There we go. It worked again. And that. No. Okay. Pillow. He's not sleeping, so I'm going to have his. When we got on, there was a warning sign on the control panel that said brake skidding, which means the brakes aren't working. Right, I have no reason to stay up. I can't really film on this train. The military are everywhere over this thing, and filming is apparently not allowed. Get what you pay for. Well, if I look terrible, because I feel it. I barely got any sleep, like at all. I've had easier times sleeping on boats in the sea than this train. Upon arrival in Baghdad station, it became apparent as to why the trains are all Chinese. The old British ones are just left to rot in the station, with even the tracks being long overgrown. So I got out of the train station, can't film that, covered in the military, all with their guns. Not very happy about you filming. So I'm across from the train station. I've been told that the taxis are as much scammers here as they are in Russia. So I've got their version of Uber. And I'm waiting on some yellow cab to turn up. I don't know how I'm going to read the number plate because it's written in Arabic. This will be fun. Well, taxi cab went well. Managed to get to the hotel. They even let me check in at 5 AM, which is when I've arrived, rather than wait till like 11 or something. Even better than that, I've only got 7,000 Iraqi dinars left. Price was 50 bucks, which is, I don't know, 100,000 Iraqi dinars, something like that. So he said, oh, don't worry, just pay later. I'm only booked for one night. Probably knows I could just run off, but alright. So Iraqi hospitality is a real thing. Well, sleeping's over. Time to go get some money to pay the hotel, otherwise they'll probably throw me out. Also, I don't have any money on me, that's kind of bad. So, yeah, Baghdad. Majorly old city, founded I think in like the 600s by the Islamic caliphates, moving out of Islamic world into the Christian world. But in the modern day, it's twinned with a certain place, which I find rather funny. Baghdad, Iraq is twinned with Pyongyang, North Korea. Really. So this is the exchange street, or street full of exchange places, I should say. I now have well over 2 million Iraqi dinars. So that means I've been a millionaire in Yugoslavian dinars, Iraqi dinars, and Zimbabwe dollars. I think a millionaire would be able to afford a car, but apparently not. After paying the hotel bill, it was time to head back out and go and find some Iraqi food, which consisted of one big fish and some tea. So I came in here, asked for a menu. They refused to give me a menu. They said, do you want the fish or not? So I said yes. So I got the fish, which is fucking huge. After that, I headed to a historical site, being where the old Saddam Hussein statue stood, before the United States military came and pulled it down. So that's the call to prayer. Goes on for quite a bit. And this is the location where Saddam Hussein's statue was And as you can see, this is all that's left. This little stump here. There's no plaque. There's no reason to know what it is. Oh, for God's sakes. But I wanted to go and see the city, which the best way to do that I find is always on foot. There were British-style double-decker buses in the city, which are an old remnant of the Imperial era. However, I always find that you find the city best on foot. I mean, how else would you find random plug sockets next to lampposts? So I've come to a place called, I think, Tahrir Square. And this was the site of a massive uprising in 2019, or massive protest, I should say. And the response was to open fire. And they killed something like 200 protesters, and there's, down there, a load of paintings to all those who died, to remember them. And I ran into a fella in the store back there, who was telling me all about it. He was there. And after they opened fire, all these people died, he decided that Iraq was not the place to be anymore. And he went with a group to Belarus, he told me. And the plan was he was going to be taken by people smugglers into Lithuania, then to Poland, then to Germany. They never want to go to Lithuania or Poland. Never mind Belarus, also a safe country, but that wasn't the desire. The desire was Germany. Because it's got money in their heads. Well, when he got to Belarus, they took him out of Minsk, started driving him towards Lithuania, and the people smugglers rolled the car. The person he was with broke a collarbone, and he decided, this isn't for me, I'm going home. Came home, got married, just had a kid, runs his own business. Told me within 2022 to now 2025, so 3 years, they've managed to open something like 5 locations. One in the UAE, one in Egypt, one in Iraq, one in... Oh, it's crazy. Keep hearing these stories. When I was in Afghanistan, I had the same thing. The guy who ran the shop out there, he went to Germany, ended up in the Netherlands, because Merkel said you could come. That was his excuse. Got lots of free money out of it, massive free holiday. Got to go and see Paris, got to go see Berlin. European taxpayer paid for it. And he said himself, well, you guys are handing out free money, so... Anyway, got bored. And then the government in the Netherlands offered to pay him 2,000 euros plus the cost of the flight to go back to Afghanistan. So he did, because he was bored. And he used the 2,000 euros, which was a lot of money in Afghanistan, to open a business. And he's still there running that business with his wife and kids. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but it's just funny how black and white it is when you go to the Middle East and go and talk to the people who have done it. Why did you go to Europe en masse? You're handing out free money. It's got very little to do with the politics, very little to do with safety, because otherwise you'd stop at Belarus, Lithuania, Poland, Turkey, Greece, Serbia, blah 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 blah. The next day, after breakfast and a power cut, I decided to head out and go and see more of the city. And I turned the corner into a side street and noticed that there was a river of blood flowing down the street. And in my sights, a man with a machete. So I decided to go and see what this machete man was up to, and him and his friends were chopping up a goat that they had strung up and slit its throat. That's where the blood was coming from. So these guys were going to have that for their lunch. Yum yum. Next to these lunch enjoyers, there was a big antiques place. So I decided to go and say hello, only to find out that it was closed. It turns out it wasn't an antique store. The Kurdish owner, even though it was closed, decided to let me in to film around. And what he was doing was taking this massive house, filling it with antiques, and then the idea was to serve tea and coffee to make probably one of the best cafe experiences. It turns out this is quite common in Iraqi culture. And this place had everything, from Saddam Hussein era relics, all the way to Queen Elizabeth II plates. Well, I've changed hotel rooms, and if there's any nudity, I'll find some creative way to cover it up in the editing, but Reason being, that last hotel room didn't have any hot water in the shower, which I'm not a fan of. So I moved somewhere that's slightly more expensive, gone from 50 bucks to 70 bucks. And this is what it gets you. Hopefully it's hot water. That's weird. Not using it. What is it? I think it's like 12 o'clock. It's not even 12, I think it's 11. And I'm going for my third shower of the day. Because I wake up, shower. Go off for 5 minutes to pick up a suitcase. I go home. I need to shower. And now I've changed hotels. It was like 600 meters away. It's not even that far. And I need to shower. Because this is ridiculous. It's point showering. I'm just going to need to shower in half an hour. Ugh. Yeah, we got cold. And that's, we've still just got cold. Well, that way around. Well, that's slightly more cold. Just like El Salvador, the options are cold and slightly less cold. And yet again, I prefer the slightly less cold. Let's try that. Starting to miss some things. Europe. After this, I decided to get another Arabic Uber and get into the centre of the city and go and see the Swords of Iraq, which are an amazing monument that used to be the site at which Saddam Hussein would feature all of his military parades. And it's something I've wanted to see for the longest time. But upon arrival, the taxi was not allowed to get near them, so he dropped me off on the side of the road by the highway and I was going to walk towards them. Upon trying to walk towards them, the armed military started screaming at me and then demanded to know what the hell I was doing. When I explained to them tourism, that didn't seem to make much sense to them, so they forced me back onto the highway and told me that I had to go somewhere else, on foot, through the highway. Stopping for any reason was not permitted. Also, taking photographs or filming was not permitted. So I was now stuck on some kind of forced march throughout the green zone to get the hell out of there along the highway. Red, no one cares. The nearby hotels were so full with military guys who wouldn't let me in, probably because I looked like a tramp at that point, and the traffic in the green zone is so horrific that getting a taxi out of there was basically just a waste of time. So I decided I would walk all the way back, under the sun and the dust. Like seriously, I feel like I'm aging every time I take a breath here. It's ridiculous. I think I managed to find another travel hack. Iraqis actually take care of themselves. They look pretty good. Even in this weather, I don't know how. I look like crap. I'm sweating out of every orifice. My clothes are just honking at this point. All the Iraqis keep looking at me like, oh, Jesus. There's a homeless English guy here. Which I'm hoping has meant that nobody is retarded enough to kidnap me, because it's not worth the money. Lesson learnt. Don't walk around Baghdad on foot. Bad idea. Not going to be a good time. Don't do it. So I decided the next day that I kept in contact with the taxi driver who had dropped me off at the Swords and made an agreement with him that he would drive me to Babylon to go and see the ancient city of Babylon and the capital of the Babylonian Empire. And so, as we drove out of the city, I began to notice that, like Basra, Baghdad also has entire streets just filled with posters of martyrs who fought against ISIS. But just before the entrance to Babylon, there is one hidden wonder which most don't even notice, and it's the last surviving public mural of Saddam Hussein, with half of it covered up and the other half covered in bullet holes. So this is Babylon, the official entrance. What's funny about this gate is it's actually a replica. If you're wondering what happened to the original, no, it wasn't ISIS, wasn't someone blowing it up. It was the Germans. The Germans came here and took the whole thing. I think it's in a museum in Berlin. I mean, the British steal a few things, but taking a whole gate's a bit much. There's just no one here. I think it was 25,000 dinar to get in, which is about, what, 15 bucks? For Iraqis, it's free. And they still can't get them in. Babylon is a city of legend. Being the former capital of the Babylonian Empire, it housed one of the ancient wonders of the world, the Babylonian Gardens, which today are nothing. It was also rumoured in the Bible that this is the place of the Tower of Babel, in which humanity tried to build a tower to go and say hello to God, and God was angry about this, so cursed the humans by giving them all different languages so that they could no longer communicate and then work together. For certain, however, it is the place in which Saddam Hussein decided he would build a massive palace to overlook the ancient capital, with Saddam Hussein often depicting himself as the inheritors of all of the empires that came before in Iraq. In fact, this guy was so crazy, or inspired, whichever way you look at it, it's rumoured that he decided that he would go and get the stones from the ancient city of Babylon, and every 10th stone that was used to build his palace, he would use one of the ancient stones. And to this day, either because of this or some other reason, it's one of the Saddam Hussein relics that hasn't been blown up. His palace still sits there. It is meant to be open to the public, however, when we tried to go in, they told us it was closed and to go away. Which, don't know what that was about, but that was that. So I decided to head somewhere a little more cheerful. Fallujah, which was the site of some of the most fierce resistance against the United States occupation, with Al-Qaeda fighting there against the Americans in the first and second battles of Fallujah, with a local bridge being the place in which some of the locals decided to find some American PMCs who were driving through, killed them, strung them up on the bridge, and then set fire to their bodies, and then took pictures, celebrating what they had done. The bridge is now nicknamed Blackwater Bridge as a result. However, in more recent history, ISIS did actually get all the way down here and took the whole city of Fallujah. With Fallujah only being 1 hour away from Baghdad, it really gives you a sense of how much the country that they did conquer. But the worst crime of all has to be Mr. Ali's choice of driving entertainment. Upon arrival in Fallujah, you can clearly see the hordes of money that has been thrown into the place to revitalise it, after being basically destroyed by years of warfare. You can see brand new, spotless buildings right next to husks covered with bullet holes. So I'm in Fallujah. It's not words I thought I'd ever utter, but I am. And when we're driving around here, you can see just how much has been built back up. And now, it kind of looks like what Iraq wants to be. Modern, built up, no trash. Well, very limited trash compared to some of the places. Maybe it could be. And all those memories of the past that happened in places like this are very quickly just becoming memories. Blasted over. Well, this place still isn't protected by the police. They very kindly let me film this because they were very much debating it. So, yeah. This is Fallujah now, with shopping malls and burgers and ice cream. Still advised by the British authorities not to travel here under any circumstances, but when did I ever take their advice? Screw those guys. Upon arrival back in Baghdad, Mr. Ali insisted that he has to go home and sleep. Despite me asking if I could get dropped off first, he insisted that we head to his house. So we entered into his neighbourhood through military checkpoints and noticed that there were just hordes of sheep wandering the neighbourhood. This taxi driver wants me to come into his house. Just random guy's house. I feel like this goes against every counter-kidnap advice possible. After some time at Mr. Ali's house, the grandmother of the house came out and gave me cookies, and after Mr. Ali had got enough sleep and enough haranguing, I managed to get him to agree to take me back to the hotel. But not before we stopped off at this guy's house to collect some money from this Bangladeshi. Not going to get involved in that, I'm thinking. So we stop off at the next location, which is a gas station, I think to fill up on gas. And then more Bangladeshis come out, and Mr. Ali collects hundreds of dollars from them. Okay, we then go to an industrial estate and collect even more money from some Bangladeshi, at which point I managed to say to Ali, hey, a hotel's just around the corner, mind if I just drop off and then you can go do whatever you need to do? And he agrees and drops me off, before going off to collect more money presumably, and documenting all in his book. After getting off Mr. Ali's wild ride, I call up my Iraqi friend to ask, what the hell was that all about? To which he just kind of laughs and says I absolutely have to ride Mr. Ali's wild ride again tomorrow, and just see what happens. But for the evening, I did discover that Baghdad does have one brisket restaurant, so I decided to go and see if any of this US cultural exchange had rubbed off and if they had a decent American food place. Sad to report that the brisket in terms of portion and quality, is not up to American standards of what they would expect. But one of the local chaps there did take me out for a local dessert, which is genuinely one of the best desserts I've ever eaten in my life. And what was the name of this again?
Kunafa.
Kunafa.
Kunafa,
So
yes.
this is the best kunafa in the world.
And the word, I promise you. And this is Aymar, which is a thick cream on the top of it, and they put in some pistachio.
Alright. Oh, holy shit, that's pretty good.
But these sweets are Palestinian. It's called kunafa. And believe me, you're not gonna find anything better than these.
The next morning, I once again boarded Mr. Ali's wild ride and asked Mr. Ali to take me to the Antique Street. And upon driving nearby, we parked up and then we're going to walk to the Antique Street. Mr. Ali decides that the path is for pussies. And what we should do is find a shortcut. So we go through the shortcut between the houses to try and get there faster, which involves walking through an open sewer and by literal mountains of trash. Mountains of shit. Upon arrival on the Antique Street, I did manage to find some things of interest. It's Adolf Hitler. I also managed to find various things to sell, such as relics of a bygone era, like Confederate and Bin Laden lighters, Saddam-era medals, rugs depicting the Second Coming, and non-believers submitting to Islam, a surprising amount of Russian antiques, as well as a few other things which I will be selling, which there'll be links in the description on how to go and have a look at those, and best way to get in contact is on Twitter or Subscribestar. For people who don't know, Subscribestar is how I fund all of these things, and to everyone who subscribes, you'll be getting Soviet rubles, of course, still got a couple of those left, and for those who subscribe for $10 or more a month, you will be getting the Ba'athist Special, which are the Saddam Hussein and Bashar al-Assad banknotes, whilst stocks last. And to everyone who already does, I can't thank you enough. It's literally impossible to do these things without you. But back to the video. Mr. Ali was insanely annoyed by how long shopping was taking, so we decided to head out, only to notice that he had seemingly taken an envelope of old notes from the store owner. In the middle of the day, Mr. Ali turned to me and said that he needed to go home and sleep again. Now, we'd already agreed a price for a full day's driving, and he knew I had locations I wanted to go and film, and his place was hours on the other side of Baghdad. So I told him, hey, gonna be a pain in the ass, so okay, fine, whatever. What we'll do is I'll buy you lunch, to which Mr. Ali then took the soup and slurped it like a cat, and I said to him, hey, my hotel room came with 2 beds. I don't need 2 beds. So you can take the smaller one, sleep for an hour, and then we'll head back out. We've already agreed upon a price for all this, let's just get this done. So we go to the hotel room, and Mr. Ali immediately goes in the larger bed, mine, starts farting like a horse, and then insists that I need to adjust the air conditioning and the curtains to his liking. After about an hour of him sleeping, I mentioned to him through Google Translate, hey, can we head out now? Still got places to film, remember? At which point he explains to me that, oh no, he's going to need 5 more hours of sleeping in my bed. At which point, I say to him, dude, just go home if you're this tired. It's fine. Whatever. And paid him 50,000 in Iraqi dinars to fuck off, frankly. Mr. Ali seemed very confused by the idea I wasn't going to pay him to sleep 5 hours in my bed, but agreed under the idea that I was going to meet up with him again tomorrow, and then buggered off home. And finally, I was off Mr. Ali's wild ride. So I call up my Iraqi friend to ask, what the hell was that all about? To which he starts laughing and says that this was very much shroog behavior. Shroog being a Iraqi kind of slur for people who are very uncivilized. And it's very funny because it sort of sounds like mushroom, shroogs, which very much reminded me of orcs. And also the behavior is very much like an orc. And there are also mushrooms in 40k. Goddamn shroogs. Ruined Iraq. This friend then tells me that there's somewhere I should go which will cheer me up, which is, because it's a very funny restaurant, called Adolf Burger. And Adolf Burger is exactly what you think it is. It's a Nazi-themed burger restaurant in Baghdad. Apparently the food is pretty out there. I mean, for example, they would give you these burgers, which are like the Rommel burger, and it would have Cheeto dust on the top to represent the desert sand. So I thought, okay. My friend then told me the food was apparently really good. Even the Google reviews said so. So I order a new taxi on the Arabic Uber to head over to Adolf Burger. This new taxi driver is also called Ali, and when I get in the car, he mentions he's actually spent quite a bit of time in Sweden, so speaks a little Swedish. So that was kind of fun to bond over. He then turns to me and says, "Do you like sex with men?" So I have to... No, that's... Not for me, thank you. And he says, I like sex with men. It's good. I'm like, oh, cool. In Sweden, it is normal. You can have sex with men. In England, you have sex with men? No, mate. In England, we have the death penalty for sex with men, like Iraq. Yeah, we just don't allow that. And he's like, oh, yeah, I like sex with women too. I just like sex, you know? I just wanted my Adolf Burger and my Hitler fries, and instead I had this Arab eyeing up my arse, and then we arrived, it wasn't even there anymore, it closed down. I've had enough of Arabic Uber. Kareem, sort your app out. Why is everyone there a weirdo? For the drive from Baghdad to Mosul the next day, I decided that I would stop using the Arabic Uber. It's full of crazy people. And so I paid for a professional driver with an SUV to take me up. Along the way, we noticed that Saddam Hussein's grave was listed, and it had been destroyed by ISIS during the war. So I wanted to stop off and see if we could film it. Upon arrival, however, we noticed the entire town was still destroyed and was occupied by the militia, and there was no way you were even getting into the town unless you had special permission from the militia. So couldn't go to film it. With the driver, we got chatting about Iraqi society, and he mentioned that he was jealous of us by comparison to Iraqi society. He said that Anglo-Saxons, well, you guys are much better off. You have a much better deal because you're women. They'll go out to work, whereas Arab women won't work. It's just not a thing. They'll stay at home, raise the kids. That's it. The idea you would ask them to go and work is kind of crazy. Whereas you Anglo-Saxons, both of you bring in a paycheck, so life must be so much easier. That's why you're richer. And I mentioned, hey, well, what's it like living on one salary? What can you afford? And he said, oh, well, the basic things, like a house and a car and 3 kids. I didn't really have the heart to explain to him that most Anglo-Saxons, even with 2 salaries, can't even get the house. Upon arrival in Mosul, I noticed that even in this Sunni majority area, Shia militia posters are still up everywhere. And thankfully, I managed to get in contact with a chap who had grown up in Mosul under ISIS occupation during his formative years. And so he showed me around the place to see what was destroyed and what had been rebuilt. So here we are in Mosul. On one side of the Tigris you've got the new town, all the modern stuff. And on the other side you've got the old town, with a lot more of the destruction. I mean, you can even see that building there is pretty busted up. But that doesn't mean the whole of the old town is busted up. Quite a lot of it is actually looking pretty good. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
There's a lot more modern stuff in the old town.
Yeah. You can see like the many places like in the old town, like the typical markets, like the spice market and the fish market. This is a special market just for selling fish.
I mean, one of the things I'm noticing is, so I've started at Basra, the end of the Tigris, and then come up.
Yeah, come up to the north.
And in Basra, this river is disgusting. But up here, it's not so bad. I mean, there's still some trash, but it's nothing like it was down there.
Yeah, it's good here, right?
Yeah, like it's glowing green down there. That's it, just it's vile.
My name is Moomen. I'm from Iraq. I live in Mosul city. I'm 27 years old. I have a college degree in English. I have been working as a tour guide in Iraq and in Mosul for 2 years. I love my country so much. I love my job. It's not just a job. I meet foreigners. I like to show the foreigners the positive things in my country and reflect good image about my country. But when I was 6 years old, the American forces entered in Iraq. When I grew up, when I became a teenager, during my adolescence, ISIS occupied Mosul for 3 years. So I grew up and I raised with wars.
So that was your entire childhood, it's just war after war after war?
Yeah, war. But now things are looking up and the country is back to how it was. And as you see, the tourism is looking up. A lot of travelers are coming. So the future of Iraq is going to be perfect.
But you can certainly smell the spice.
Yeah, you can smell it.
Want some heads?
Yes.
Some heads. So we've been chatting along the way, and one of the big interesting things for me and perhaps others is what on earth ISIS was exactly for you guys and what it felt like. So one of the things I found in the south, Iraqis do not pay taxes.
Yeah.
And you told me when ISIS came, they made you pay taxes.
Yeah, you should. We had to pay taxes. They said you have to pay like a charity. At the end of per month, you have to pay as a charity.
And how much was it? 10%? 20%?
It depends on your profit. If your profit is high, you pay more. If your profit is low, you pay just a little bit. So it depends on your work and the quality of your work.
But they were actually trying to set up a state. They had a tax system, Ministry of Transport, Ministry of Defense.
Exactly. Like full government. Minister of Defense, Minister of Education.
So when they first came here, what was it like?
It happened quickly. They occupied Mosul like out of the blue. Everything happened like in a blink of an eye. Everything happened overnight. We slept in the evening, we woke up in the morning, we found ISIS in the city. So it was like big surprise and a trauma for everybody.
And did you know anything about them, as in, was there anyone who was happy that they would come here?
No, we were scared.
Everyone was just
everyone was scared. It's, new thing. We just heard about Qaeda and ISIS. We never seen them.
Okay.
So and they came and occupied your city, so it's very scary thing.
And you mentioned to me it was very normal for about a month or two.
Yeah, the first month and the 2 months, everything was normal. And after 2 or 3 months, they started putting their rules, like the men should grow their beard, and the women should wear abaya and cover the face, cover the hands.
And the gloves.
The gloves, yeah. And it was like that, and step by step they started being more aggressive and slander people and killing people and taking people to the jail for just lame excuses, for ridiculous reasons. Yeah.
Okay.
It was like that, and the life was very bad, like,
Just day after day after day, it just was miserable.
For 3 years there was no internet, and a lot of people stopped their children and their sons from going to school because ISIS put their curriculum. They changed the books to brainwash people, especially teenagers and children.
Is there anything from the time ISIS were in charge that was better? Anything at all?
No.
Zero.
They were completely bad.
It was just insane.
Yeah, they destroyed everything. They killed the identity of the city. They destroyed the historical places. They killed a lot of innocent people, and they used like their religion as a cover to do this stuff. Yeah.
So this is the fish market.
Yeah. You see many different types of fish, carp fish, fresh from the Tigris River.
So this is every day fresh?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, if you ever find yourself in Mosul, there's only one place to get fish, and I feel like we've walked into the
old town.
This is the old town now. So this was the worst, you were saying?
Yeah, this is aftermath. You call it in English aftermath, right?
But it was also the last place they held out?
Yes, that's why it's completely damaged, because all of ISIS elements used to like trapped here in this area.
Okay. And you can see, I believe, so the word safe here indicates
safe,
no bombs.
Yeah, at the end of the war, ISIS left some mines and explosives inside the houses.
Okay.
Then after the liberation process, the police started cleaning the houses. So they put safe, which means the house was cleaned and checked by the police.
I mean, they say safe from bombs. That doesn't mean it's safe from construction.
Yeah.
The whole thing falling down.
We will find like a place. We go to the roof if you want. Over the house, and if you want to have a look.
Okay. I'm not sure I want to climb a roof, but seems a little bit dangerous.
You are brave. You can do it. Don't worry. If we die together.
Yeah, good point. Good point. I'm just saying, don't enter the buildings.
This one is old.
Well, that's for pussies. Like electronic components.
Ah.
I'm not gonna touch that shit. I'm seeing teddy bear bombs, plastic dolls as bombs. So don't touch the plastic doll.
I will touch. I wanna die.
You die alone. So there's this story from the Russian-Ukraine war. This guy who's Russian, he and his men are walking through the woods.
Yeah.
And they're walking, they find a tree. And on the tree there is a light switch. Click.
Oh my god.
All killed. This guy is telling the story to Russian TV.
God.
And the TV guy's like, I would have pressed it as well. And then I see over here,
That's very crazy.
there is a light switch.
Be careful. You can see the other church in front of you. Catholic.
Oh, Catholics.
Yes, I think it's Catholic.
You sure? Probably.
I mix up between this and the other one. One of them is Catholic and one of them is Orthodox.
But like, so we're just in Old Town where it's rubble. We cross the street. Are you just back in civilization? Oh, baby chickens? So in English, we call them the Islamic State.
Yeah,
In Arabic, you call them Daesh.
we call them ISIS, yeah.
But what does this mean? Do they, in Arabic, it also means Islamic State or not?
Daesh, the first letter, Da, Dawla, which means country. A, which means Iraq. Sha, which means Sham, Syria. So the country of Islam in Iraq and Syria. We call them ISIS, Daesh.
Okay. So Islamic State in Iraq and Syria in English, Daesh, country of Iraq and Syria, Islamic.
Yeah, but it's just a name, they don't represent Islam.
Well, in English media, they tried to say that you can't say the word Islamic State, so you must use the Arabic version. But if the Arabic version means Islamic State,
but
it's so stupid.
It's not Islamic State.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Yeah. It's my favorite game. I call it Stay Alive. The European Union is paying to rebuild Mosul. Yeah. Funded by the European Union. So this is the Leaning Tower, or the Leaning Minaret, that ISIS blew up to the stump, and they've now rebuilt the whole thing. That over there is the mosque where the leader of ISIS, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, declared the caliphate. One of the things I find odd, so when they came to retake this city, Islamic State blew up the mosque where they made their announcement.
Yeah, they did it on purpose, you know. The minaret is age 850 years, it's historical, and even the mosque the same age. They were built in the same year. So they are historical places. They represent the identity of the city. So ISIS did it on purpose, vandalism actions to kill the identity of the city, so that's why. So they blow it up for no reason and just on purpose to destroy the historical sites.
Because there's a weird thing about Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi I find strange. He went to university in Iraq, he studied Islamic studies.
Yeah.
He then took a master's degree in Islamic studies.
Yeah.
And then a PhD.
Yeah.
In Islamic studies. And he spent his whole life for this. And in the end, he ran away to Syria. And they killed him there.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a hell of an upbringing.
Huh?
It's a hell of a childhood.
Yeah.
To grow up with that shit.
Yeah, it's very horrible.
No cartoon.
You know, these stuff are gonna be stuck in their minds when they grow up.
I wonder, is there anything that sticks in your mind?
Me?
Like a particular day or?
No, well, I remember the American in Iraq. They did an inspection. They checked our house many times, like looking for weapons. Before ISIS coming in 2013, I was going back from high school. I saw like a car of police and another car, like civil car, was like moving so fast, and someone rolled down the window and throw like something, mines or something, on the police car, inside the police car. So I heard like sound of explosion. So, and after that I took a look, I see like the car was moving and the driver was in the car, just a body with no head. I saw that with my own eyes.
The whole head was just gone.
Yeah.
So we're here where there was an iconic photo taken when ISIS took the city, and now it's back to normal. So you can see here, on Google Maps, apparently this used to be a Jewish cemetery. I would presume that if ISIS find out, they would just blow up the fucking Jews. So, yeah, there's no more Jews. And the Iraqi government over here, rebuilding, well, they're not rebuilding, they're building over the cemetery. So there we go, I've tried to find Jewish cemeteries, that's what's left. Nothing. Well, there we are. I think the message is pretty clear.
Yes.
Habibi, this is an old mall, right?
Yeah.
Destroyed by ISIS?
Yes. It's named the Arabic market.
Okay.
السوق العربي.
Because I know Americans love an abandoned mall. I think this takes the cake as the most abandoned. I just don't know how safe it is.
If we die together. No, it's completely safe. I'm joking.
Okay. Ooh.
Be careful.
Sucker! Oh, блядь. Oh, it's completely safe.
From ISIS, not the one.
Yeah, safe from ISIS, not from dogs. The most dangerous thing in Iraq. The bloody dogs. For the next leg of the journey, I decided to hire another professional driver with an SUV, because knowing my luck, if I use the Arabic Uber app this time, I would probably get another Mr. Ali, now explaining to me how ISIS did nothing wrong. But for this journey, we're crossing over a border from federal Iraq to Kurdistan. Ever since 2003, the Kurds had been able to establish their autonomy by force, with their own government and parliament, and their own borders, and a military to enforce those borders. Now, the Kurds watching might want me to separate a Kurdistan out and do like an Iraqi video and then a Kurdistan video, but it's a wee bit difficult, and they know why. For those that don't know, the Kurdish people are divided up between Iraq, Syria, Turkey, and Iran, and they have these dreams of one day getting their own ethno-state separated away from the Arabs, Turks, and Iranians. And they've managed to achieve some of this by fighting for it in Iraq and Syria, but in Turkey and Iran they're just designated as terrorist groups. Now, they also have an affinity for socialism and communism, which is kind of different. But the fundamental politics in this region are about independence, the dream of getting their own ethno-state. And that's what dominates political life there. So they even have a saying for this, which you can find on merchandise they sell, 2 + 2 = 1, the idea that all of the regions will one day be unified under one state. Although the local stereotype about Kurds is they're quite stupid. So 2 + 2 = 1 also feeds into that. Arriving in Kurdistan, I was hosted by my Arab friend who had been helping me out the whole time, and we decided to head out and go and check out the local museum. Hey look, it's that YouTuber. So this whole thing was built with US aid money, you were saying?
Yeah, it's literally on their website. Yes, I calculate.
That you are gay.
Yeah, please do the thing.
Oh, that's only when you get to the end. And you have to,
Yeah.
you're just writing ha 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 ha.
Yeah, it's like kick.
It's a lot of work for a small payoff. Oh, this is pretty cool. Maybe we shouldn't be touching so much. But...
No, fuck it. It's USA. Americans, thanks. Thank you, Americans.
So are you the tallest man in Iraq, or?
No, I've seen a couple tall people. Like whenever I lock eyes with a tall person, I'm like, oh, you get it, man.
We then spent our time in the evening hanging out in a cat cafe, which is the first I've ever been to. I always heard about them in like Japan, so I thought, hey, let's go and see one in Iraq. And this Iraqi cat cafe had Adolf Hitler. So we spent the evening hanging out with Adolf Hitler the cat.
This is himself.
That is Hitler.
That is Hitler.
Okay. I see the resemblance.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, Hitler. You're very cute, Hitler. Oh. Hitler doesn't want to be friends.
He detected that you're British, so...
Yeah. Natural enemies. Oh god, he's got blue eyes as well. You're a good little Hitler. So what the fuck am I saying? Oh god.
He's a good person.
No, that's mine, not you. Alright.
I guess that's the Churchill.
That's the Churchill cat.
Yeah. He's entity.
Stop stealing my stuff, Churchill. Ketchup? Ketchup. Ketchup? Ketchup. I'm way over my head. Joker sauce?
No.
What the fuck is Joker sauce?
Oh yeah, we have a brand here. For food. It's called Joker.
Okay.
Yeah, there's Joker
Is it barbecue? Oh my god, Iraqi sauce. When you want to taste Iraq.
There you go. Jolly old England in a can.
Oh, cool, blimey, that's bloody brilliant, days. Can I have a bottle of water with you as well? We also stopped to do a little bit of shopping.
I'd assume you'd use that. Oh, Mein Kampf.
They have Mein Kampf? Oh, there we go. Is that Kurdish or is that Arabic?
No, that's Arabic.
That's the Arabic Mein Kampf. I literally can't get away from him. He's everywhere.
Everybody loves it.
So we got Steve Harvey over here. You can read about Steve Harvey. Or you can read about Dr. Nike, who is a guy who was banned from the UK. Which is rather funny. Women's rights in Islam, protected or subjugated? Interesting read.
Yeah, subjugated. You don't want it to turn out like your woman. No offense.
No, but this is kind of weird. So they sell lingerie and bras and other stuff just publicly out here. And if you're thinking, because you're American, what's the big deal? Well, in some countries, like Kuwait, for example, which borders Iraq, if you want to buy lingerie, you have to go with your marriage license to the shop, and they won't even let you into the shop unless you present your marriage license to prove that you have a husband. And of course, the husbands are just not allowed in. So I don't know if you can hear me. It's pretty fucking...
I assume you can tune it out after a while.
So if you can hear me, the reason that's happening is for some reason in the third world, they like to just advertise prices with a microphone, a megaphone. Everyone has the same idea and all of a sudden it's fucking unbearable. Do you eat this?
Some people do.
Okay.
I personally don't.
That's the intestines?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can make a nice little balloon with it, give it to the kids.
And then behind you are the testicles.
These are the testicles, yes.
Sheep testicles.
Quite big.
Tasty or not? So this is a Kurdish mall, and you can see like different Kurdish heroes, I presume, you make statues out of. And then over here, people talk about soft power. I'm not sure if this is soft power or not, but it is a thing. The Peaky Blinders, very popular in Iraq for some reason. In fact, so popular that in Kurdistan, someone has decided to set up a Peaky Blinders store, at least in name. The Shelby class, where you can get old English style suits, three-piece coats. So it's kind of interesting up here. I mean, I don't know who built this, but the amount of money they must have spent. This mall is 3 floors. The first floor is all like clothing and general stuff. Second floor is largely abandoned, more service stuff. But these massive statues, massive columns, all along the whole thing. I mean, it's beautiful, I must admit, for a mall. And then what's super weird is in the final floor, on the 3rd floor, you could just walk off to the left, and that's where the car park is. So you literally park here and then just walk straight into the mall.
I have never been so proud of my country before.
Yeah, that's actually super cool. You can just walk out and come in.
No, not that.
What?
Mein Kampf is so bad.
Mein Kampf was sold out.
It's sold out.
Okay.
Like the last copy sold out today.
Is that what he said? You were asking, like, where's Mein Kampf? And he's like, oh no,
Yeah.
we had a rush.
He had to like go get somebody.
But the best time I had in Iraqi Kurdistan has to be the German club in Erbil. And if you're ever visiting, you've got to go. This thing was founded by a former German military chef, and he got this membership list, and then went to the local government and said, hey, I've got this many members. I need to be able to serve alcohol. I need to be able to serve pork because Germans need these things. And they said, okay. Gave him a license. So it's the one place in the entire country where you can legally buy alcohol and pork, and it's really good. Like, genuinely the best German food I've ever had. Even better than in Germany. Pork ribs, pork loin, and pork schnitzel. Pork schnitzel hamburger and pork schnitzel with mixed vegetables.
Get pork schnitzel with a mushroom sauce, you'll fucking love it. It's fucking mint in it.
So we got here, pork schnitzel, legally obtained, mushroom sauce, German-style potatoes. And if you're wondering how the hell I learnt that they did all that, well, of course, we were in this middle-of-nowhere place in Iraq, so we randomly ran into a British man who had been living there for decades because he married a native. So what the fuck did the Americans say to you when you told them you were British and all that? What the fuck are you doing?
So he said, what the fuck are you doing here? I said, I live here. What the fuck are you doing here? There's no terrorists in this house. Fuck off. So I claimed for the door.
As for whether or not I'd recommend a visit, honestly, yeah, it's a hell of an adventure. But it's not for beginners. Federal Iraq. If you want to take the wife and kids, or you are a beginner, probably best to go to Iraqi Kurdistan. Things are a bit more chill up there. Also a little bit more safe, maybe. But for George Bush's mission accomplished, well, the mission was accomplished to get rid of Saddam Hussein, and Iraqis have moved on. What they've moved on to is a country that is de facto run by a militia that swears its allegiance to a regional enemy of the United States, Iran. Good job, George Bush. As for whether or not that's a good thing for the Iraqi people, that's for the Iraqis to decide. Not my country, not my problem. Empire's over, boys. What is definitely a positive, however, is that finally Iraq has peace. For the longest time, they've been in various wars, and now they can actually focus on development rather than just survival, provided that no outside power turns up and ruins the whole thing, yet again. If you like this and would like to support me, you can head over to Substar to help fund these things, and you, on $10 or more, will be getting the Baathist special of the Saddam Hussein and Bashar al-Assad notes, and thank you to everyone who already has. As for future videos, I still do read every single comment. I would appreciate a like and subscribe, it genuinely does help, and I'll be back soon enough. Thank you, and goodbye. What's up, you unbelieving kuffar bastards? I turn your baked beans! AK-47s for everyone! I love a crowd. Roads? How boring. You know, one good thing about Bin Laden, always pays in cash. Nice guy. For counterterrorism watching, this is a joke. I am joking. 100% of my material is comedic. I do not mean anything I say. And if you use this in court, fuck me, I suppose. I haven't got a good defense. I'm screwed.